Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. My videos are about love, creation, infinity, energy, because we're infinite love, infinite creation, infinite energy. This is who we are, all thanks to the human heart, all thanks to the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, generating this beautiful electromagnetic field that powers the human body, making us conscious and self-aware, sentient, intelligent, who we are, light spherical beings. This is our nature. This is who we are. We're infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation, just like the sun itself. As I stare at it and I open my portal and build the bridge, the life, infinite energy coming through my eyes, powering my brain, supercharging my brain and my heart, making me more creative, more powerful, a more powerful creator, better, stronger visions of myself and my dreams and my true self coming into existence, because this is who we are. We're infinite eternal creators. We're sundials, as you can see. And we also compass the 8 primary elements. I speak about them all the time. We manifest free will. We shatter illusions, rendering fantasies, and we make them obsolete, and we shatter fantasies as well. We shatter them all because we're infinite energy. We're resonance with love, with creation. This is who we are. Our instinct to love is our instinct to live. We love to live and we live to love. This is what we do. We live to love and we love to live. This is what we do. This is who we are. This is our nature. This is our nature. So I'm going to obviously talk about all these notions in this video. Today's video is one of my favorite videos because I'm going to share a very personal thing with you. It's part of the exercises that I'm developing, that I'm going to talk to you at a later stage about exercises, just like I did earlier yesterday with exercise number 1 about gratitude, things I'm working on and things I'm grateful for based on all dimensions. Then it's obviously this is another exercise, is Pantheon. It's one of the exercises. It has to do with heritage and legacy. This is what this video is about. Heritage and legacy. Okay? And this is a personal video. This is my statutes, so I'm going to share with you my statutes. They could change in the future, but at this stage, at the time I'm making this video, these are these examples, these humans, these creators that have done amazing things for humanity, and I use them as examples, as leaders and defenders of the Republic of planet Earth, as infinite eternal creators, our compass and sundials, all of them. So I use these, and the way I go about it, I'll explain it to you. So let's start, so you know what the motion is. So it's y.how/heritage-legacy. That's y.how/heritage-legacy. Refer to it on Substack, on YouTube, and also on the website. So let's start there. So Pantheon. Pantheon is based on statutes. I have a pantheon. Pantheon is this place, like a monument, a monumental place, it's a monument. Is you go to a place and the statutes is like a museum in a way, like it's what it is. It's like a museum. A pantheon is like a museum, and it has statutes in it. And these statues are monuments, and these represent heritage and legacy. In this case, humans that are no longer with us, but that they were creators and they contributed great things to humanity, and they lead us and defend us. And this is one of the exercises. So for this exercise, I think a good number is 20, because it's 2 times 10, and 10 is because we are alive, and life is a big thing. So I think having 20 statutes for our pantheon of heritage and legacy, of actual humans that lived, creators, infinite eternal compasses, infinite eternal creators, sundials, humans that actually lived in the flesh, that built a heritage and a legacy that we are using today, and we have built society in a big way because of what those people did, those humans did, these compasses, these sundials. So I use 20 as a number, as the 20 statutes 20 as members of my Pantheon, of my monument, of my museum, because I think it's a good number, because it's double 10, and 10 is kind of not enough because there's so many humans in our lives that matter. So we choose those humans and those creators, those protagonists of their life, those main roles of their life, those main roles of the characters in their lives and the journey, and then we use them as examples, leaders and defenders. So 20, I use 20. You can use as many as you like, but I think 20 is a good number. It's a good number, 20, because it's not too many and it's not too few. It's good. It's a good number, 20. It's a round number. So let's start with mine. I got the visual. You can refer. You will see the photos, like the face of each of these individuals, and I'm gonna walk you through each of them and why I chose them and how I went about it and what Pantheon is. Because Pantheon, in this case, heritage and legacy, it's about reflection. It's about contemplating. It's about reflecting. Self-reflection is your Pantheon, is your monuments. It's you choose the members, you choose the statutes in your museum, so you can go and have conversations with them and ask them questions and think as to why they did that and why they did it and how they went about it, and use them as examples because of their actions, because they were very purposeful creators. All of them were extremely purposeful creators. So I use it as a reflection mechanism. It's a reflection exercise, a contemplation exercise. So when I have questions at times, doubts, or I need clarification, I tend to refer to to my Pantheon. Obviously, I'm not limited to my Pantheon, but I think these are the leaders and the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth that I identify most closely with when it comes to what they've done and the value and the contributions towards society that they all did individually when they were alive. So let's start at the top, and the first one for me is Alexander the Great. He was I don't know if you know who Alexander is, but Alexander was this person from ancient Greece. He was an incredible human being. He was a leader. He was a military mind. He was a strategist. He was a general. He was an emperor. He was a king. He was many things. He was a powerful creator. He created the largest empire that humanity has ever seen at the time of the known world at the time, thousands of years ago. And he did that at a very young age. He achieved all these things that were thought as impossible, particularly for a young man. And he did all these things, and he was very, very intelligent. He was a creator. He believed in himself. His identity and true self were clear. He was a compass. He was a sundial. In fact, his emblem was the sun. He believed in the sun. He was a sun seeker. He stared at the sun. He meditated with the sun, and the sun guided him towards his victories and his battles, and led him to what he's become, a great human that achieved a lot. In fact, the world is what it is today because of Alexander. What his achievements, what he did, he bridged the gap between the East and the West and united culture and founded cities. He did incredible things. Alexander did incredible things. You see, Rome as we know it today, and what Rome has. I got Romans here in my Pantheon. What Rome became and the Western world, the Western civilization, our origins tracing back thousands of years, in a big way happened because of what Alexander did. this Greek man from Macedon, which was the kingdom where he was from. His father was Macedon II. So he was a very brilliant man, Alexander. Alexander was a brilliant mind, a brilliant human, a creator. He was a strategist. He was an incredible, he believed in himself. He had a strong dream, and all his dreams come true. They all came true. You know, it's amazing what Alexander did. He's an example. He's, you know, Alexander reminds me of the greatness of the potential of the human race. Maximizing potential, full potential, infinite potential. This young man did incredible things, things that were unheard of, things that were unthinkable, unfathomable things, and he did them all. He proved everyone wrong with his actions, and what he did at a young age wasn't something that it was done ever before that, and it hasn't been done ever since then. No one has ever done what Alexander did. He did that. He built that with his own hands, with his dreams. Incredible. It's incredible. The story of Alexander is a story that's amazing what he's done. So if you don't know who Alexander is, I would recommend you that I learn about what he's done and his thoughts and his beliefs and what he's achieved. A remarkable story of success and achievement of the human heart and what we're capable of doing when we believe in ourselves and we make our dreams come true because of what he's done. It's incredible what he's done. Okay, so that's Alexander. Then right next to Alexander, I have Aristotle. It's not a coincidence that I got Alexander right next to Aristotle. Aristotle was alive when Alexander was alive. You see, in fact, Aristotle was Alexander's mentor. He was Alexander's mentor. He taught him. He was his pupil. Alexander was Aristotle's disciple. His father, Philip of Macedon, he brought Aristotle over from ancient Greece. Macedon was above Greece, geographically speaking, and from Athens and all these different city-states. So he brought over, he was a very powerful king, Alexander's father. He was so powerful and rich that he was able to bring Aristotle, like the greatest mind at the time, over to mentor and to do the tutelage of the daily activities of Alexander. So, and Aristotle, let's talk about Aristotle and who Aristotle was. Aristotle was this great ancient Greek. He was a mastermind, powerful philosopher, extremely intelligent. He designed concepts that are what we today call well-being and all these concepts of wellness and happiness. He designed those through a concept called eudaimonia, which is a life of purpose, a purposeful life. He designed this notion of happiness and what happiness truly is, a life of meaning and fulfillment back then, thousands of years ago. With the world where we had, he already had these ideas and these notions about what the purpose of life is and what we all ought to do as humans, purposeful lives. Aristotle was this man. He was a pragmatic man. He was a very pragmatic man, a practical man, a man of action. A man of action. In fact, you can argue that the world that we live in today wouldn't be the world that we live in today if it wasn't because of Aristotle's influence. Just imagine the power that he had, that he was the mentor of Alexander, and Alexander was the one that created the conditions for the world that we live in today to exist in the first place. So this is who this man is. This is Aristotle. Beautiful thinker, beautiful philosopher, believes in eudaimonia and happiness and purpose. Very intelligent man, a beautiful human being, an incredible creator. So this is who Aristotle is, and there's so much written about Aristotle because of his influence, and he has written so much himself. So I would always refer you back to Aristotle and what he's done and his concepts and his beliefs. Incredible human being. That's why he's part of my Pantheon, because of what he's done, and I always refer back to Aristotle. Okay, so then we have right next to Aristotle, by the way, the only order of sequence here that matters is those two, is Aristotle and Alexander, because of the relationship they had. There was a powerful dynamic. They were powerful creators. So beyond those two, everyone else, there's no hierarchies or anything. So in fact, there's no hierarchies. They don't have a preferred statue or preferred leader or a defender of my pantheon. They're just in general, but I just put Alexander next to Aristotle because of that powerful dynamic, that relationship that they built. Okay, so right next to them is it's a contemporary human figure. He's much more recent, almost modern times. His name is Simon Bolivar. Simon Bolivar was this fella, this human, who was known as the liberator. He was known as the liberator. The liberator. So he was a mastermind, a military man. He was a strategist, a general, statesman, and his armies never conquered. His armies liberated. So liberated people, gave people freedom at a time where freedom, was a luxury. And not like us today in the world, we're quite free. At the time, freedom was, wasn't what it is nowadays. And in a big way, freedom, it is what it is today because of this man, because of his achievements. He was able to liberate an entire continent. Listen to this. He was capable of liberating an entire continent. An entire continent. In fact, he founded 5 modern nations that we know, 6 if you really think about it, all in South America. What he's done was incredible. Incredible. He brought freedom to people that didn't enjoy that prior to him. So, and that created the conditions for freedom worldwide in today's world in a big way because of his work, because of what he's done. So freedom, as you know, is one of the elements of compass, purpose. It's an important one, and this is why this man is on my list, because of what he's done. He liberated. He was a person that believed in that. He believed in empowering people, and that's why he's on the list, because what he did, it was remarkable. And just like Alexander, that created the biggest empire ever known to humankind at the time, well, this man went across South America on the back of a horse through the Andes and all this stuff. What he's done in pursuit of his purpose was just remarkable. It's an example of what dreams do. When you make your dreams come true, this is the things that you do. These are the things that you achieve. And that's just amazing. This is just amazing. So that's why he's on the list, because of what he's done. He's a remarkable example of feats that humans are capable of coming up with. So then right next to him, I have a Roman emperor. His name is Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was this great statesman. He was a Stoic. He was a very intelligent human being. He lived a humble life, a simple life, even though he was surrounded by all the luxuries that you can imagine and all the power in the world at the time. The Roman Empire, he was the emperor of the Roman Empire at its peak. So when the Roman Empire was at its peak, its most powerful, he was the emperor. So speaks volumes of who this man was. And, he was a very simple man. Very simple. He was Hamas as he gets. So he's got a book called Meditations. So speaks a lot about action and purpose in that book and what it means and agency and identity and true self. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful individual. So he lived a life of purpose, and he was an incredible example because he was surrounded by luxury and all these, the most powerful man in the world. And he lived a simple life, very simple life, very simple life. He was very, very humble. He was humble as he gets. And this notion of stoicism and what being stoic means comes from, in a big part, from what he's done, because he's the greatest stoic. He's the greatest stoic by far. He's not the founder, but he's the greatest stoic because of what he's done and what he represents and what Rome became as a result of his efforts and what he did when he was at the peak. And then again, he consolidated that republic, that empire at the time, in a way in which generated the conditions for the modern world as we know it today. So then again, this was a very, very big character, a big creator, a big compass, a big sundial. This man was an overachiever, just like everyone on this list. Okay, so right next to him is another of my statues is William Wallace. William Wallace was this Scotsman, this Highlander. He came from the Highlands up in Scotland. He was some brave heart. He was a very brave man. He had a big heart. He loved with all his heart. His creations were always about love and what he represented. He liberated his people. Scots were liberated by him at the time, and he did things that were unheard of for Scots at the time. He loved his people, and he did incredible things. A great warrior, a great man who did great things and did things that were unheard of for the time, where Scotland wasn't necessarily in the best of his moments. He brought a lot of good things to Scotland as a result of his work. So that's why he's here on this list. He's on this list because of what he did, particularly at the time when he did it. He's a great man, a great Highlander, amazing Scotsman. He's an incredible human being. What he's done is brave heart, a lot of courage. Okay, so let's talk about my next person on this list, and this is a very special one for me. Very special because it's very recent, and this person passed away very recently, and this is an incredible human being. This is one of the greatest human beings that ever lived because of what this person achieved. This person has achieved a remarkable amount of things over a very long life and beautiful, meaningful life full of purpose. And it's admirable what this person has achieved. And I'm talking about Elizabeth II, the Queen of England, is the oldest ruler in human history that we know of. Imagine that. Imagine this. this person managed to rule over for a very long time, and peacefully, which is hard in a word like ours. Peacefully. She, incredible mind, incredible statesperson, incredible leader. You see, she wasn't meant to be. She wasn't the apparent A. She wasn't any of these things. In fact, she was like far away from being the successor of, the British Empire, which is the greatest empire that ever existed. It's the sun never sets in the British Empire. So it's the greatest empire that ever existed, the most powerful one, the most prosperous one. It has brought all sorts of prosperity and abundance to earth. England and Britain became the first industrial nation and brought all sorts of the contribution in the English language, the contribution of Great Britain and what that represents is unique to the human experience. And this woman, this human, this compass, this sundial, is the longest ruler of that. And the beauty of it, and the reason why she's on the list, is because she wasn't meant to be. She wasn't meant to be. There were kings, members of her family who were there, a long line of succession. And because that's just the way life is. Because that's just the way life's changing the angle. So I'm going back to this. Just because of the way life is, life happened in that way, and she became the ruler, she became the queen. And I think it was 80 plus years, or nearly 80 years, almost 80 if it wasn't 80. Yeah, a long time she was queen. 70, I don't remember, it was a long time. Her grandma was a queen as well, Victoria, and she was a ruler for a long time, but she surpassed her grandma. She became a longer, older ruler. And Victoria was an incredible ruler too. But Victoria never did what Elizabeth did, which is peace and prosperity. She brought a level of prosperity to the world that is unseen in human affairs and statehood. You see, we have experienced the most prosperous times in human affairs since we can recall. In the last 75, 80 years, since the ascent of her to the throne, and a few years prior to that, because of the way the world has developed with technology and the modern world. And she essentially was, she imagined in power, being the ruler of an empire, the British Empire, which still exists today, different name, but still there, for a long time, very long time. She outlived all these world leaders. Think about it. 80 years in power, 70 plus, the amount of people she met, the amount of conversation. I mean, and these are not normal conversations. These are power conversations. These are authority conversations. These are like the highest stakes. These are nation building conversations, world building conversations. Hey, we are talking about like the highest level that it gets on planet Earth. And that woman, she was at the table at all those conversations. Just imagine how powerful she was. This is how remarkable she was. And she did that for a long time. And my belief is that she was able to achieve this precisely because she wasn't meant to be. Because of her humility, you see. She was humble. Hamas to like perfect definition of Hamas. Why? Because she wasn't meant to be. she wasn't raised, she wasn't groomed to become a ruler. It was all an accident because of the way life happened around her family and the circumstances of earth at the time. 3 kings happened, and then she came as a result of it. Because of life, love was involved. One of the family members fell in love and then didn't want to do it, and then she ended up being the one. You see, it's a beautiful story. So much information about Elizabeth. So, and my image of her is her as a princess before she even dreamed of becoming a queen. Like, she didn't know. She thought she was just gonna be a member of the royal family and live a nice life, but that's it. So I have this photo of her when she was very young, a teenager, just living life. And then that woman, you see, became the greatest ruler that ever existed. So that's the power of Hamas. You see, I speak about this and I get the goosebumps. Because, sometimes life is that. Sometimes life is that, hey. It's just like you are chosen by life, hey. You are chosen. And she was chosen by life, by fate, destiny, hey. And then she did what she did. And if you look at what she's done, not only for Great Britain, the UK, after the transition from the British Empire, all the things that she's done, because she's been involved in all the power moves of Earth, all of them. There's no one single power move on Earth that she wasn't making the key decisions. It's just how amazing what she's done. Like, and look at the modern world, like what she created really. What she created, because she was the one formulating the policies, at the highest of levels in a way. Her vision, her dream. Look at the world we live in today. As we know it, in a big way, has to do with what she's done. Her humility. That's why she's on my list. And her creations, like, just think about the prosperity that she's been able to, do. Like, just look at the countries that she created. Well, no, she didn't create the country. She was part of that, but like under her rule, those countries became what they are today because she was in there for so long, like 70 or 80 years. I don't remember the number. It's a long time. And then again, what did she do? Well, just look at the countries I'm talking about. Canada, for example, is an incredible country. It's rich, powerful, prosperous, intelligent. It's a beautiful country. It's part of the British Empire. You see, part of the UK today. Head of state and all that. So look at how amazing Canada is. Canada is one of the greatest examples that we have of a civilization that's peaceful and prosperous and rich and intelligent. That's one example. They look Australia, then again, more of the same. Greatness. Great country. Rich, powerful. Then again, she was the ruler. And she created that. She, in a big way, her decisions, her wisdom led to all that beauty, all that creation. And then New Zealand, country where I live, beautiful country. This is an incredible country. Then again, part of that, it's just that it's just amazing. It's amazing. Those are the 3 greatest examples. One of the best countries in the world. Life standards and all that, living conditions, and she did all that. Really, like, if you look at history and how it works, her decisions were behind all these actions that were taken. So amazing. Amazing what she's done. It's an incredible human being. So that's why Elizabeth is on my list. She's amazing. And you see, powerful individual, powerful human being, an infinite eternal creator, a sundial, a compass. She will always be known in human affairs and human history for her achievements and for what she's done. So that's why she's on my list. And she would always be on my list. Always. Then right next to her, it's known as Geronimo. His actual name is Guyatle. He's a North American Indian. He's a native of the North American tribes. He was a remarkable character. That's why he's on my list. A wild spirit. He lived in a very turbulent time where, with the expansion, westward expansion in continental United States. And there were a lot of things happening at the time. And that man was there, and he had beliefs, strong compass, sundial. He knew who he was. He knew his identity and his true self. And he stood firm till the last day. He always was clear about who he was, and he did what he did for his people. A great example, great leader. What he did, he always let actions speak for themselves. And he was the, what he did, essentially, he fought for the freedom and the land of his people. And what he did essentially led to a lot of positive things that came from bad things as a result of his courage and as a result of what he's done. Because of what he did for his people and his beliefs and the things that he fought for and his cause and his dream was a dream of peace for his people, and ended up being able to create a wonderful community for them eventually because of his work. So he's an incredible human being, and that's why he's on my list, because of what he's done. He understood who he was, and he always believed in himself, and that's why he's on the list. Geronimo Guyatle. Beautiful human being. Great example. Then I have another one right next to him, Leonardo da Vinci. Leo. I love Leo. Leo has been a great contributor to the human race. He's a great creator. Really great creator. An incredible creator. This is who he was. An amazing creator. An incredible creator. A remarkable inventor. He was ahead of his time. A polyglot a genius. Purely a genius. He lived in, the Renaissance, Enlightenment, all this movement towards consciousness and self-awareness that allowed the world we live in the first place in a big way happened because of what that man did. At the time, those were very difficult and tough times for humanity. You see, those times where humanity was going through a lot, and he was there, and he stood still firmly in his beliefs and created and loved and did what he did and generated incredible stuff. You see, imagine over 500 years ago, that man had the vision to draw what today we know as the helicopter, the modern day helicopter. So he had the vision to 500 years prior to the creation of the helicopter. He drew it and said, this is something that we actually can do, and that was what he did. And that's just an example of the things that he did. He was a very intelligent man, an artist, an absolute genius, like just genius. All he did was just genius. painter, all sorts, biology. I mean, you see, always he was a truth seeker, always observing natural phenomena. He was a great drawer. He would focus on the human body. He did a lot, and always coming back to biology and objective reality, truth. He spoke truth to power. He was surrounded by extremely powerful people around him. He grew up in Italy, and at the time, Italy was like the place to be. It was like the center of the world. And then he spoke truth to power. He wore the hat of a Jesta many times. He spoke truth to power. He did. Definitely did. And that's why he's on my list, because of what he's done. Incredible human being, Leonardo da Vinci. A lot of us know who he is. If you don't know, I encourage you to learn about Leo and what he's done. His work. Remarkable work. Right next to Leo, I have Nikola Tesla, much more contemporary figure, human being. Just like Leo, he was an absolute genius. A total genius. Like, this man was a genius. Like, the definition of genius, creation, invention, was Nikola Tesla. I think he had 1,000+ patents. I just laugh because this is just funny, eh? 1,000+ patents, this man. These weren't like stupid patents, eh? These were like world-changing patents. What he's done. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds that ever lived. You see, my list is packed with these great minds. But in terms of genius and creativity and innovation, which is a lot of the things that I talk about, Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla's up there, eh? Up there on that list, like at the very top of it. Oh man, this man was a visionary. This one was an incredible. You guys gotta. He said at a time where dogma was prevalent, and he said, if you want to understand reality, you gotta think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This was before we understood that we were light spherical beings, just like Leonardo, a great visionary. You see, he understood electromagnetism. He understood polarization. He invented modern day electricity as we know it, like the alternative current, I think AC or DC or direct current. One of those two he came up with Bell, Graham Bell. They both together. There's a big history between both of them. Beautiful minds, both creators. But in the end, has to do with what he did. His creations were amazing. He was an amazing creator. He was an incredible mind, and that's why he's on the list, because he's a proof of how we are. We are creators. An incredible inventor, Mr. Tesla. And then there's a modern day company called Tesla because of his work and his influence. And Tesla is one of those minds that it's just like Leonardo and Aristotle and all these fellas, like the ancient ones. As time passes, we're going to acknowledge them and realize the influence much more than we do now, because he died not that long ago. He's a recent contemporary human being. But in 1,000 years, we're gonna go back and think of Tesla, and we're gonna be like, yeah, Tesla, of course, because of what he's done. He's an incredible human being, a creator. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. The next one is Leonidas. Leonidas was a Greek man, a Spartan. Spartan was the kingdom of Sparta. It was a city-state. It was an independent city-state, some sort of statehood type of hybrid between a republic and a democracy of sorts. You see, they have their hierarchies, they have the systems of regulation, and so they were not necessarily democrats, really, in the time of the ancient Greek and all that. but they did have the way of self-regulation and all that, and they have the way, and they were very successful in their affairs. Spartans were extremely successful at the time. They were great warriors. And this is who Leonidas is. Leonidas was this great general, this great leader, because I don't believe, I might be wrong, but I don't think the Spartans had king, or maybe they did. I'm not too sure. I think they had a first person, like a first among equals. I think it was the way they went about it. And he was the first among equals, I think, or maybe he was a king. I'm not too sure. I think he was the first among equals. And he was this general, this powerful military force, incredible human being. And he did incredible things. In fact, he saved democracy in the Western world with his actions and what he did. And all the work that he did led to Alexander later on. And because of what he did, his story, the fight that he put up against, a mighty force, and what he did, and the legacy that he left, and his sacrifice, and his belief in a greater Greece, even though he didn't have a lot of the same beliefs as people from the other city-states around Greece. He did it in the end because he understood the implications of the times. He understood the times, and he did what he did, and it's remarkable what he's done. And today, the world that we live in a big way, has to do with what he's done. A lot. Believe it or not, a lot of the world we live in has to do with what he did, because that led to Alexander and all sorts of things. So, so that's why he's on the list, because he was a great man, brave man. And then they have George Washington on the list as well. So we know George Washington, the first statesman of the United States, the first president. This man, was a general. He was a powerful figure. He is a remarkable human being, a creator himself, very intelligent, very humble. He lived in turbulent times, and he founded, what we could say the most successful nation that has ever existed in modern times. Most prosperous, biggest, richest, most influential, came all as a result of what he's done, the work that he did. And he wasn't alone, but I use him as the example of all those people coming together, and he represents that. He represents that, just like Simon Bolivar represents what he represents as the liberator. George Washington represents this what he achieved, which is forming the union of different colonies that came together with a belief in freedom and happiness. You see, the pursuit of happiness is part of the Declaration of Independence. You see, this man was a well-read man. He read Aristotle, because he knew what happiness was, and Aristotle was the one that came up with the idea. So you see, he knew who Aristotle was, because in the Declaration of Independence of the US, right there, it says the pursuit of happiness, which is a purposeful life. You see, eudaimonia. It's a Greek idea. So then again, this man knew that. Hey, and look at where that led us. The pursuit of happiness and freedom, look where that led us. Hey, this beautiful world where we all live in, he led us there. That's where he led us. The pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness and freedom. So this is why this man is on my list, because of that vision. He was a visionary, incredible human being, a creator, a compass himself, a sundial. That's who he was. Remarkable human being. So that's why he's on my list, because of what he's done. He is A true leader. True leader. I always refer back to what he says. The harder the battle, the greater the victory. He understood. He understood. Okay, so next one. Another American, just like him. Mark Twain. I love humor. I speak about humor all the time. I spoke about jest earlier. This ancient humor, this mechanism that we have developed as humans. And I have spoken at length about humor and what it represents. Because humor is key. And I always try to be funny in my videos because I think entertainment is important. And that's what Mark Twain was to me. He represents humor. He's a great comedian, a great humorist at the time where he lived, a time of taboo and dogma. He was able to bridge the gap through humor. Very much so. Mark Twain wasn't his real name, but that was his first name, his author name, his pen name was that. It was Mark Twain. He grew up in a time, the world was going through transitioning. And then he was a comedian, really. the original stand-up. He was just hilarious. I mean, you listen to, you read his writing, it's just funny, because the objective reality, they based on observable phenomena. He was a true seeker, but his medium was humor. His writings were all about humor. He was a humorist, very humorous man, very funny man. His writings are just hilarious. And he understood purpose. He spoke about purpose a lot. Because he understood. He was a smart man. I really like him a lot. I think Mark Twain was a genius. Because these were turbulent times. And he surfed the wave. He lived the times. He had a wonderful life. And because he understood this, he understood humor. And he understood that humor is a peaceful mechanism to communicate truth. And that's what he did his whole life. You see, his whole life was all about doing that. Speaking truth to power. He wore the hat of a jest. All right. He was a jest studies man. An incredible human being. And, modern comedy, stand-up and all this stuff that we all celebrate and cherish today. Who do you think Mark Twain was? The Mark Twain's a war for a reason. Because of this man, this comedian. Just a hilarious mind. He was just hilarious. Incredible human being. I love Mark Twain. He's just... if I'm having, I always think of Mark and I just crack a laugh out right there and then because of who he was. Genius, pure genius. He was pure genius. Okay, so right next to him, another very person close to my heart. His name is Alan Turing. I think Alan Turing is probably the smartest man I know. I never met him in life. Never met him. Never had the luxury of meeting this man. But I think my subjectivity say, because I'm human in the end, I got my own biases. Even though I talk about objectivity and objective reality, I'm not immune to subjectivity. No one is. And my subjectivity tells me that he was the smartest man that ever lived. Alan Turing. He was just a genius. And he lived in real difficult times. Really difficult times. Those were really hard times. Really hard times. Really hard times. Really hard times. Tough times. And this man made it. We have computers because of because of Alan Turing, guys. That's the level, So this is the fella we're talking about here. The level of invention, the computer. He was the one that conceived the modern computer. The Turing. It's just his contributions are gigantic. The contributions of Alan Turing are unmeasurable, and I don't think we will ever be able to really know the full impact of Alan Turing's contribution, because that man is the computer man. He's the bloody computer man. There were others before him and stuff that kind of had like the primordial systems and all that, like the legacy systems that led to computing. But he was the one that came up with the notion of artificial intelligence, modern computing algorithms. And all his algorithms were geometric in nature. They were all spherical in nature. And that's why he came up with this idea. Because if you look at his work, his mathematical work, which I've done, it's all spherical. It's all spherical geometry. Because he understood reality. He was a genius. He really understood it. He was ahead of his time. He comes from black and white, okay? Black and white. These were times before, this man grew up in a tough period. And, hey, he talked about the computer. He said, this is what's going to happen. We're gonna have artificial intelligence. We are gonna have the Turing test, which is this artificial intelligence notion that he designed. We're gonna have he created the computer, for Christ's sake. In reality, that's what he did with a bunch of other mathematicians and geniuses, but they were all like essentially guided by the genius of Alan. Really, Alan was the one. He was just a genius.